In the mystical lands of Jammu and Kashmir, nestled among snow-capped mountains and sacred rivers, lived a revered folk deity known as Baba Shivo ji, also lovingly called Goran Baba by the locals. His legend is deeply rooted in the spiritual traditions and faith of the region. Today, through EpicVeda, we bring you the complete tale of Baba Shivo ji, his origin, his journey, and the divine path he walked. And if you'd prefer to hear this story in Hindi, don't forget to visit my second channel, Devlok Gyan. You'll find the link in the I button above or in the video description below. Now let us begin this sacred tale. Long ago, in the ancient kingdom of Patan in Kashmir, there ruled a mighty and noble king named King Lad Dev. His queen, Rani Kali, was graceful and wise. They possessed all the luxuries one could imagine: wealth, power, and prosperity. But despite their grandeur, one deep sorrow haunted them both: the absence of a child. In their quest for a child, King Lad Dev invited learned priests from Kashi, the sacred city of light, to his royal court. The priests studied the king's birth chart with great attention and, after deep deliberation, delivered disheartening news. "Your Majesty, your destiny holds no promise of a child. There is no sign of an heir in your fate." The king was heartbroken. With folded hands and a heavy heart, he pleaded, "Is there no path, no way that could alter this cruel fate? I beg you, show me a solution." The priest responded gravely, "There is a way, but it demands great sacrifice. You must renounce your palace, abandon your royal life, and devote yourself fully to a life of spiritual discipline and devotion." Driven by the burning desire for a child, the king made a firm decision. He gave up his throne and set out on a spiritual journey with his queen. He had heard stories of Guru Goraknath, the legendary Nath yogi, and resolved to become his disciple. After a long and arduous journey, the king and queen finally reached the sacred hill where Guru Goraknath meditated. Bowing at the great yogi's feet, the king humbly said, "O Gurudev, please accept me as your disciple." The enlightened guru, who could read hearts, gently replied, "You are a king. Wandering away from your responsibilities does not suit you. Return to your people and rule with wisdom." But the king's resolve was unshakable. With folded hands, he replied, "Gurudev, I have already left behind my kingdom. All I seek now is your guidance and your grace." Seeing the king's sincerity and unshakable devotion, Guru Goraknath called upon his disciple Kapila Pir. He placed sacred earrings in the king's ears, symbols of spiritual transformation, and initiated him as his disciple. He gave the king his first commandment: "From now on, you shall live the life of a humble seeker. Earn your food by begging and show respect to every soul. When the time is right, your deepest desire shall be fulfilled." Thus began a new chapter in the lives of King Lad Dev and Queen Kali, a life of surrender, faith, and unwavering hope. King Lad Dev and Queen Kali began living in full obedience to Guru Goraknath's command. Renouncing their royal life, they survived by seeking alms, dedicating themselves completely to a path of spiritual discipline. For years, they wandered from place to place, embracing hardship as a form of devotion. Eventually, they arrived at a quiet village named Sohadham in the Jammu region. There, they built a small hut and settled down. Each day, King Lad Dev would go out to the village to beg for food, and whatever little he received was shared between him and the queen. They lived humbly, sustained by faith and a deep yearning for a child. But one day, during his daily round for alms, a village woman spoke harshly to the king. Her words pierced his heart. Hurt and humiliated, the king returned to their hut and shared the incident with Queen Kali. Deeply wounded by this humiliation, the couple decided to leave Sohadam behind. They moved on and reached a place called Samota, where they built another small dwelling. But now, their devotion deepened even further. They intensified their prayers and meditations, immersing themselves completely in their spiritual practices. As years passed, however, they still remained childless. Even after such long and intense devotion, their wish for a child remained unfulfilled. At last, they made a vow. Either our guru himself will appear and bless us with a child, or we shall give our lives while meditating upon him. With this unshakable resolve, they went to a village blacksmith and had 2 large tridents, trishals, forged. Then, standing barefoot upon these sharp tridents, they began an extreme form of penance. Such was the intensity of their devotion that it began to disturb the spiritual balance of the cosmos. Guru Goraknath, seated in deep meditation, suddenly felt his posture shift, a divine signal that one of his devotees was undergoing an extraordinary trial. Focusing his mind, Guru Goraknath saw the king and queen, standing on tridents, their bodies in pain, but their hearts filled with unwavering faith. Moved by their devotion, the guru descended from his abode and made his way to Samota. There, in the very same village, he settled at a sacred spot and lit a holy fire, his dhuni, the eternal flame of a yogi. A local village woman recognized the great master and rushed to inform the king and queen. Hearing this, their hearts leapt with joy. Overcome with emotion, they ran to the guru's feet and bowed deeply, tears flowing from their eyes. Guru Goraknath had already seen the truth in their hearts. Smiling, he blessed Queen Kali with a divine boon. "You will be blessed with a miraculous child. He shall be unlike any other, and his name shall one day be known across the world." Then, with a voice filled with grace and power, the guru gave the child his name. He shall be called Shivo. With their guru's blessings, a new hope had blossomed in the lives of King Lad Dev and Queen Kali, a sacred promise of a future yet to unfold. As time passed, King Lad Dev and Queen Kali were finally blessed with a son, just as Guru Goraknath had foretold. They named him Shivo, as per the guru's divine instructions. From a young age, Shivo began to display extraordinary powers and signs of divinity. His very presence seemed to carry a mystical aura. One day, while accompanying his father to a village festival, young Shivo noticed a musician playing a dotara, a traditional string instrument. Mesmerized by the sweet sound, Shivo turned to his father and pleaded, "Father, I want an instrument just like that." Moved by his son's excitement, King Lad Dev went straight to the village carpenter and said, "Please craft a dotara for my son, just like the one we heard at the festival." Shivo was overjoyed. That same day, while walking along a canal, he spotted a tree trunk drifting in the water. With his divine strength, he pulled the heavy log from the stream and cut it into pieces himself. Carrying the wood to the carpenter, he respectfully said, "Uncle, please use this wood to make a beautiful dotara." A few days later, the instrument was ready, but without strings. The carpenter said, "It still needs strings. I suggest using golden strings. They will make the sound even more divine." Though the family lived humbly, King Lad Dev loved his son deeply. He thought, "I have only one son, and he is the very reason I live." So, despite the difficulty, he arranged for golden strings to be added to the dotara. Once it was complete, father and son traveled to a nearby town near Jammu to have the strings installed. As soon as Shivo played the newly strung instrument, its melodious notes echoed far and wide. By coincidence, the sound reached the royal palace of King Maldev of Jammu. The queen, enchanted by the melody, said to the king, "My lord, what a beautiful tune. Please find out who is playing this heavenly music." The king immediately sent his commander to trace the music and bring the musician to the court. Soon, Baba Shivo stood before King Maldev. The king asked him to play. Shivo raised his golden string dotara and played a tune so enchanting that the entire court was spellbound. Deeply impressed, King Maldev offered him a position in the royal court. With humility and grace, Baba Shivo replied, "Your Majesty, I will gladly accept, but I have 2 conditions. First, I must return to my village every evening. Second, I will not eat in the palace." King Maldev respected the young musician's devotion and agreed to both terms. Thus began a divine routine. Every morning Baba Shivo would travel from Samota village to the palace in Jammu, and every evening he would return home. But his journey held a secret. Each evening, on his way back, Baba Shivo would stop atop a hill and play his dotara. The music floated gently over the valleys, drawing the attention of villagers nearby. Women on their way to fetch water would often pause, captivated by the peaceful sound. But not everyone was pleased. Soon some locals began to whisper, disturbed by the attention he drew. Among the local villagers, there were a few mischievous individuals who disliked Baba Shivo's evening practice of playing the dotara while sitting on a hilltop. One evening, they blocked his path and confronted him. "From now on, you are not allowed to play the dotara here anymore," they demanded. Baba Shivo calmly replied, "I cannot agree to that. I am a humble ascetic, and to me, everyone is like a brother or sister. If it bothers you, perhaps you could speak to your children and ask them not to linger around." With that, Baba Shivo peacefully walked away. Upset, those men went to his parents and complained. That evening, when Baba Shivo returned home and sat down for dinner, his mother gently said, "Son, it's better if you come straight home in the evenings. People are complaining about you playing the dotara up there." Hearing this, Baba Shivo felt hurt and frustrated. Without saying a word, he left his meal untouched and walked out of the house. His mother followed him and lovingly persuaded him to come back home. Sometime later, Baba Shivo visited the royal court of King Maldev. There, he overheard people talking about a terrifying lion that had been causing havoc across the kingdom. The king had issued a public announcement: "Whoever slays this lion shall receive a reward of their choice." That evening, Baba Shivo shared the news with his mother. She placed her hand on his head and blessed him, saying, "My son, do not fear. When you come face to face with that lion, it shall fall before you." The very next morning, as Baba Shivo was walking toward the court, he encountered the fierce lion on the way. With his incredible inner strength, he defeated the beast and cut off its ears as proof of his victory. When he arrived at King Maldev's court, he presented the lion's ears and recounted the entire event. Impressed by his bravery, the king said, "Shivo, you may ask for anything you wish. It shall be granted." With humility, Baba Shivo replied, "Your Majesty, I only wish for a small piece of land." Pleased with his modest request, the king granted him land at 7 locations stretching from Jammu to Samota and wrote this agreement on a piece of paper. Baba Shivo was filled with joy. On his way home, he stopped by the river for a bath. While he was bathing, a goat wandered up and ate the important document. Distressed, Baba Shivo immediately returned to the court and explained everything. This time, King Maldev had the land rights engraved on a copper plate, ensuring it would last forever. When Baba Shivo showed the copper plate to his parents, they were overjoyed and blessed their son with pride and love. One day, Baba Shivo was returning home from King Maldev's court. As always, he paused atop the hill where he would sit and play his beloved dotara. But this time, the scheming men who disliked him had made a sinister decision. They would not let Baba Shivo live. As Baba Shivo strummed his instrument in peace, they attacked him from behind with a sharp weapon. In a brutal moment, his head was severed from his body. Yet something miraculous happened. His severed head did not fall to the ground. It rose into the air and flew straight to the lap of his parents. Upon seeing the head of their beloved son, Baba Shivo's parents were devastated with grief. Overwhelmed, they took samadhi, a sacred, eternal meditation. Meanwhile, the attackers buried Baba Shivo's body near the hilltop, thinking they had silenced him forever. But sometime later, an old man happened to walk past that very spot. As he approached, he heard a voice emerging from beneath the earth. "Those who have wronged me, I shall have my revenge." Shocked, the old man rushed back to the village and shared what he had heard. Panic spread quickly among the culprits. Terrified, they feared Baba Shivo's spirit would rise and come for them. In their desperation, they decided to dig deeper and bury his body farther underground. But the moment they began to unearth it, something incredible happened. Baba Shivo's headless body stood up on its own. In his hand was a gleaming sword. Even without a head, Baba Shivo struck down every man who had betrayed him. Those who managed to escape his wrath were pursued as well. On his way back, Baba Shivo passed through a place called Goran, where a group of women were drawing water. They saw the headless figure and whispered among themselves, "What strange times we live in, when even headless bodies walk the earth." Realizing the women had seen him, Baba Shivo vanished from sight, merging into the very soil of that sacred land. The first to face the consequences of Baba Shivo's divine fury was King Maldev himself, for he hadn't even bothered to ask why Baba Shivo had stopped coming to court. Seeking forgiveness, the king ordered a temple built in Baba Shivo's honor inside his royal palace. Eventually, the wrath extended to all those who had fled after his murder. And finally, a grand temple was established at Goran, the very place where Baba Shivo disappeared. That sacred temple still stands today as a symbol of faith, where devotees' prayers are believed to be fulfilled. Because of this, Baba Shivo came to be known as Goran Baba. I, Narinder Singh, humbly ask forgiveness for any errors in this narration, as stories often vary from place to place. If you'd like to watch this story in Hindi, be sure to visit my other YouTube channel, Devlok Gyan. You'll find the link in the description. And for more such fascinating folklore and spiritual tales, don't forget to subscribe to EpicVeda and give this video a like so these stories continue to reach you. Thank you.